breaking news. The U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, while saying that there are still no credible threats, is now revealing that precautionary measures have now been taken. TSA will be deploying additional security to major cities and U.S. airports at various rail and transit stations as well. Jay Johnson saying there are a number of other security measures the U.S. is taking right now, folks, that are not suitable for public disclosure. So they are keeping that under wraps, but without specifically saying that they're stepping up security. They are stepping up security. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Darrell Issa of California. Your reaction, sir, to all that has happened and what the U.S. is doing?
Well, what the U.S. is doing is defensive, and that's important at a time like this. But what we haven't been doing enough of, and clearly need to, is taking the fight to the enemy, cutting off the supply chains, the coordination. In other words, we need to have a plan to win against ISIS, where they breed new recruits, where they raise their money, and where they plan. And that's, of course, Syria and parts of Iraq, and more areas like the Sinai. That's the area that we haven't been doing. It's the area that both NATO, including Belgium, and the United States need to start doing, because it is less expensive to attack them where they live than it is to wait for them to attack us at the time and place of their choosing.
Congressman, just quickly on one political question, and then I really want to know about the terrorists' phones and what we might have learned had we had access to that. Is Donald Trump saying we should leave NATO? Do you agree with that?
Well, I think he's expressing the frustration that many people have, that NATO members are not paying their fair share. We spend over 4% of our large economy on defense. Well, they spend less than 2%. Some of them only aspire to get to 2%. So we do need NATO, including Belgium, to belly up to the bar and contribute their fair share in a real way to what has now become more and more their war, their defense. Right. But having said that, I think that, and I don't know Donald Trump, but I believe that if he were properly questioned, he'd say, yes, if we can get a fair deal where they pull their fair share, we should be in it. But as it presently is set up, we bear most of the burden, and they get most of the benefit.
Let's get to this issue, which is somewhat related to the terror attacks that we've seen and are seeing, at least here in the U.S., in your home state of California, in San Bernardino. Apple pretty much got the shock of this entire situation last night when the FBI canceled what was to be the hearing today and said, you know what, Apple, we actually don't need you. We may have figured out how to crack open those terrorists' iPhones. We don't need you, and we can figure this out ourselves. You have been critical of the way the FBI has actually handled the strategy to get this phone open. Does that make you comfortable that maybe FBI made it clear we can figure this out? We don't have to force Apple to do something it doesn't want to do.
Well, you know, I wish I could agree with you. I think they're going to continue to try to force companies to pass out their encryption secrets. But having said that, I feel good that we've been vindicated that although the FBI had testified under oath that they had exhausted all their great strengths and their billions of dollars of funding, the reality is that a private sector individual, many of them actually came forward with likely fixes, one of which the FBI is now exploring, meaning there was an ability to brute force this phone. 2 months have been squandered while they say, woe is me, we can't do it, when in fact the NSA, the FBI, and others have billions of dollars to do just exactly this. So I'm happy that in fact a private individual came forward and that it's likely to show that you can brute force it.
So wait, I'm sorry, can I interrupt you there? People are wondering, you know, who cracked the iPhone? You're saying, from what you know, it was a private individual? Was it one of these so-called white hackers? Was it somebody in the tech world who said, I got this, I can figure it out?
We understand it is, that it comes from outside of government. But let's understand there were many who came forward with things that had not been tried or considered by the FBI. Remember, under oath, the director actually indicated he hadn't even asked for the source code. In other words, he hadn't handed over what he was asking others to do to see if he could easily do it. The important thing that we all take from this, and this does go back to those attacks, the NSA, the CIA, and many of our other clandestine agencies are well-funded funded and need to be funded to make sure they develop tools to get to the enemy's communication, and they need to do it without the enemy knowing it. This case, this very public case, has actually been counterproductive to the work that the clandestine agencies do. And this is the reason that people, including Secretary Gates, Secretary Leon Panetta, both former CIA and Defense, have come out against what the FBI was trying to do. They know you have to do this behind closed doors.
Right. Well, the FBI, I guess, necessity is the mother of invention. They figured it out. We'll see. Still to be played out. But Congressman Darrell Issa, thank you so much.